Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of the Radio. So today, I have got awkward news for you if you are hoping to get hold of those stamp cards from, well, the upcoming stamp collection over in Japan. I'm not entirely sure what it's supposed to be called. What I do know is that if you don't live in Japan, it just got a lot more difficult to get hold of. Let me explain. So for those of you that don't know, there are a bunch of stamps that are going to be coming out over in Japan in the not too distant future. We've got a stamp sheet that features a whole bunch of cards, including Pikachu and Eevee. They are literally just reprints of existing cards. You may well recognize that lovely Jirachi from Team Up, which has seen a huge amount of play all over the place, because it's a phenomenal card. And now it's a phenomenal stamp. We also saw that there was a stamp sheet which was far less TCG related and far more just super cute pictures of Pokémon playing on the beach, chilling around, doing their thing, quite frankly. But the most exciting version of this was the box which is coming out on the 25th of August. Now, there are multiple brilliant things about this box. This is a super exciting box. What it gets you is a sheet of stamps which have, 5 kind of nice ones, and then the base set fully evolved first partner Pokemon. And they're popular, right? Oh yeah, and it does include Charizard. It includes base set Charizard, base set Blastoise, base set Venusaur, all of which featured on stamps. And look, I know that they are stamps. This has not passed me by. I am well aware that these are stamps and they are not actual cards, but I'm also aware that they feature like the most popular Pokemon around, or at least some of them, including Charizard, and I'm also fully aware that Charizard is the iconic Pokemon card. There is no Pokemon card around more iconic than that Charizard. It is frankly, well, it's huge. There is no more important or iconic card that exists in the game than that Charizard. But you'll also notice that on this sheet of stamps, you have a couple of pictures. You've got Pikachu on some lady's back, and you've got Diving Cramorant. Now, this is where it gets kind of interesting. For those of you that missed the initial video, essentially, these are images drawn by the lovely Mitsuhiro Arita, and if you're not fans by now, you should be, and they are actually based on Beauty Looking Back and Moongoose that are basically famous old Japanese stamps. So what they've done is they've taken these iconic Japanese stamps and turned them into Pokemon artwork featuring, well, Cramorant and Pikachu, but drawn by Mitsuhiro Arita, probably the most iconic of the Pokemon TCG artists. And if you buy this box, not only do you get those stamps, you get the cards. You get the Beauty Looking Back and Moongoose Arita promos as actual TCG cards. Now, what is interesting, they do have regulation marks. They are legal for tournament play. I covered these before. I'll try and remember to pop a link in the description. Suffice it to say, they're not particularly good cards. Nobody really cares because they're so beautiful. They are wonderful. So, the other stamp sheets I've shown you are cool, and if I can get hold of them, I absolutely will. But the gem of this collection is very much this box. Because you've got the first partner Pokemon from Gen 1 coming as stamps, and because you've got these Arita promos, which are absolutely wonderful. Now, obviously the question then becomes, well, how do I get these? And the answer is, I've got good news, and I've got bad news. Now, the good news is that there are going to be an additional 20,000 units being sold, which brings the total number that are going to be for sale to 100,000 units. By the way, I'm going to be using a whole bunch of translated text here. Shout out to the lovely OKJLove over on Twitter, who has provided the translation, and the lovely Poker Guardian for posting me towards the translation from that lovely person. So the good news is there are going to be 100,000 extra units rather than the 80,000 we were expecting. And this is actually really good news because this does a couple of things. Mostly, it means that people in Japan that want to get hold of it are going to have a much easier time doing so. And I'm sorry, but this is a Japanese product, and as much as I want it, and believe me, I want it, I've got a couple of feelers out in Japan already. But if there is anyone watching this who thinks they can get this from Japan, please, please, please get in touch with me. I will be your friend. I would be extremely grateful and happy. I want these promos so much. But they're not English products, they are Japanese products. The Japanese market should absolutely be the priority, and they are, and this is a good thing. But it also means that the number out there are going to be higher. And people like to talk about supply and demand a lot, and they go, oh, it's simple supply and demand. And about 90% of the time people say it's simple supply and demand, what they've actually done is ignore a whole bunch of factors which completely ruin their point. But this is actually a pretty good example of simple supply and demand. There are now a much greater number than were going to be on the market, which means that the price of them should come down. Now, don't get me wrong, this is going to be a very sought after product. A bunch of people are going to be looking to get it. But the more that are out there, the easier it's going to be to pick it up for a reasonable price on the secondary market. But let's talk about the secondary market for a moment, because Japan have gone to borderline ridiculous lengths to try and make sure that these are sold within Japan. And I don't say that as an insult, I say that with admiration, because we are constantly talking about how do you stop scalpers and how do you stop this being a problem. Well, actually, they have come with a really good couple of options to do so. So there are basically two ways you can go and buy this product in Japan. Now, there is an Asian International Stamp Exhibition, which is being held in Yokohama. And essentially what you do is you have to apply by postcard. You have to be in Japan, and you have to send a postcard, a physical, actual postcard, to apply to go and buy this product. If you are then selected by lottery, you go along to said stamp exhibition, and you must take your lottery notice, proof of address, and ID to go and buy it. So you have to apply for a lottery, but it's not just a lottery. It is a lottery that you can only enter by postcard within Japan, and then you have to go along and buy it in person at the International Stamp Exhibition with your lottery notice. Yes, that is pretty extreme. But you know what? If you were living in Japan, would you not be really frustrated that you were unable to get a bunch of Japanese products because a bunch of European and American Pokemon fans were buying them all up instead? Frankly, I would be annoyed. And don't get me wrong, I am one of these people sitting here going, yeah, but I want that product. And sure, this is making it a lot more difficult for me to get it, but it should be more difficult for me to get it and easier for people in Japan to get it. That is absolutely fair. Now, that is a most extreme way to get it. There is a different way. And you can enter via postcard or the internet. Again, by a lottery. And you must have a postal address in Japan, and they will send your notification physically to your postal address, and then you will be able to go and buy it at a Japanese post office that you specified when you applied. So you've got to actually apply by postcard or online for this one. And then they will mail you a lottery confirmation, which can only be used at a Japanese post office that you nominated when you applied. And again, we can talk about this as harsh and mean, but also what they are doing is trying to make sure that these Japanese products are bought by actual Japanese consumers. Now, there are a number of things we need to note here. In order to apply, you must have a Japanese address and a Japanese phone number. You must buy these in person at a post office that you nominate on your entry form, and it is non-transferable. And not only is this going to really try and make sure that these are bought by Japanese people, but it is going to make it so much more difficult for scalpers, because you've got to enter your Japanese address and your Japanese phone number, and then they're going to mail you out your lottery winning notification to go and buy these. Well, that's not going to work if you're a scalper unless you've got many, many, many addresses, which I suppose you might do. But then again, if the names, addresses, and all are too similar, there is absolutely a way for Pokemon to jump in and stop that. I don't know, incidentally, if they're looking to do that. However, they do specifically note that they reserve the right to cancel a lottery selection if they believe it to have been resold or passed to a third party. How cool is this? Now, don't get me wrong, right? This is both really good and really bad news, depending how you look at it. If you're in Japan and you want these products, this is excellent news. If you're like me and you're outside of Japan, this is not great news, unless one of you can hook me up. But we talk a lot about wanting to stop scalpers and wanting to make sure that Pokemon products are sold to actual Pokemon fans. This is how it works. This is a great example. And yeah, sure, it's pretty extreme. And yeah, they've gone to pretty big lengths to try and make sure it's taken away from scalpers. But hopefully, what they've basically done is made it so it's not worth it anymore. Gotten to the point where it just doesn't make sense for scalpers to actually go and find these. They get bored and move on to other products, and these are just bought and sold within Japan. And that's good, ladies and gentlemen. That is good. I'm excited about this. Well, okay, that's a little bit of a lie. I'm excited that they've come up with this really good system to try and stop scalpers and try and make sure they go to real fans. I'm less excited about what this is going to mean for me trying to get this product, but then again, there are an extra 20,000 being released, so maybe that means the resale won't be so high. We can but dream, ladies and gentlemen. We can but dream. But for now, I want to know what you think about all of this, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing is always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.